You're watching The Globe on the SABC News channel. The news out is that next week, Tuesday, we may see as many as 800,000 public sector workers in various departments going on strike on a one-day nationwide action. And to tell us a little bit more about what's led to this, we're joined by the president of the Democratic Nursing Organization of South Africa, Simon Hlungwani, which is an affiliate of the Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good evening to the viewers. We appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us about your frustrations that have led you to this, what looks like a drastic action.
Well, for us, it's not so drastic. However, let me explain the frustrations. Is that even though we have had a serious problem of COVID-19 in 2020, the very same nurses who took care of everybody in the country never received a token of appreciation, although we have made that request. In the very same year, the same nurses never received an increase, and all other public servants. In last year, they received what is not even equivalent to the inflation. And this year, they get told, Sibazamile, with the 3%, that is then shoved through their throats. Now, when you look at this, compounded with the conditions of the cost of living on the ground, one classical example being the cooking oil, simple cooking oil, that used to be 34 rand, now it's 120 rands. It means we have an uncaring employer if it does not even meet the inflation that we have. Now that has compounded and made it feel like we have an uncaring employer. Now the members are saying they are hurtful. If it is that they must fight, this is the right time, that they can rather fight and lose their hands if it needs be, but they're going to fight all tooth and nail until the employer can start listening and be a caring employer.
Is it possible that genuinely government doesn't have money? I mean, we've seen the world is in trouble. COVID-19 caused a lot of stress on economies. Ours is struggling to recover. Is it possible that government genuinely doesn't have money at this time?
Well, it could be possible. However, government has never told us in terms of demonstrating to us the statistics that will prove that. But we must firstly ask ourselves that what is the actual problem? The actual problem is that we've got many leakages within the government sector. But the demonstration by government that they can give themselves as cabinet and all mayors and ministers, parliamentarians a 3% and backdate it for more than 24 months. It's a demonstration that they have money. So it cannot prove that they don't have money when they are careless to give themselves a backdated increase to that effect. However, we are saying if they are to change the austerity budget that they apply, they can improve a lot of areas within the government sector. We are also offering from our side the close to 20 billion that we have saved as housing allowance as public servants, for it to be released and create a government employee housing scheme so that that money can circulate within the value chain of housing development, whether you look at the brick maker in a township, you look at the steel makers in the industry as a whole chain, or you talk about the tiles makers, and including the ordinary builders within the township. But in return, it will be beneficiating the public servants in getting houses. Over and above that, the money will circulate within the country and does jack up the economic development. We are also saying if government is serious, they must fix SARS in order to realize what we realized this year. For the first time, SARS has performed above their targets. They must fix ESCOM in order to make sure that the economic losses that we incur due to all the load shedding does not continue to happen, including fixing Transnet, so that we don't continue to lose that 1 billion that we lose on daily basis because of the problems that we have. But over and above that, we are saying once you give money to the people that it circulates around, you still be collecting through tax that money, and then as a result, you are growing back the economy. So there could be a reason, but they have not demonstrated to us, because in the middle of all that, all what we see is that there's more and more corruption and failure to deal with corruption, as it were. That's why we say they must capacitate the police, they must capacitate the public servants so that we're able to take care of the entire population, because the ultimate beneficiary is the society in general, and the society is part of us, because one public servant is carrying more than 7 people, average it's 8. On a daily basis. That means your cousins, your mothers, your grandmothers, including siblings and children to that effect. That's why we want this circulation of the money to improve our economy. We are putting our commitment. We want government to also put their commitment by ensuring that they do the right things.
The finance minister said something which could be quite concerning. He says that it's unsustainable to have the size of the public service that exists at this current time. Does that not worry you that you might actually see people losing their jobs? Wouldn't you rather say, let's keep the loaf that we have and make sure all people stay employed?
Well, I think the primary responsibility should be for the minister to say he wants a capable state, not unless he and all cabinet ministers or this government is so committed to ensuring that police stations must continue to be robbed by criminals just because there's no police officers to guard it and take care of them. If the police station cannot look after itself in terms of safety, how safe is the communities that live around that community, that police station? And if the schools do not have enough teachers, when we have graduates who are unemployed, I think in as much as that's what we say, at any rate, the balloon is in their offices, where they employ many people to advise them. And sometimes those people are not necessarily paid a junior salary. And what we're advocating for is for the level 1 to level 12. Most of their staffs, they're earning above millions, most of them. But the ordinary that we're talking for, it's somebody who earns, some of them, they take home way less than 10,000 rand on monthly basis. And these are the people that are vulnerable and they are carrying families out there. And when you compare that, and they say you can rather retrench at all costs, we think they must reduce the ballooned cabinet that they have, and they must reduce their staffs that they have in the large number. In that way, they will be demonstrating that indeed there's a problem, because the salaries of the public, of the ministers, cabinets, and all mayors and everybody does not come from a different coffers. It comes from the same fiscus. So the same argument should be driven home, that when you talk of anything that is unsustainable, you must include yourselves as the minister, all your staff, including the cabinet and all the sectors of society, of public service that is getting monies from that. And we also have many others, such as the parastatals, that are also taking from the same coffers altogether. So we could argue that. However, what we are saying is that if that is the argument, how come do we continuously have leakages of corruption, and you hear that many millions have been siphoned to particular individuals? Right. It means there is a real problem, especially on the side of procurement as well.
All right, and perhaps a final question. What about the public? You're in the health sector. You know better than anybody. When your teams don't show up for work, sometimes it could mean the difference between life and death.
Well, let me also indicate that sometimes we make a call in order to correct the public services that is rendered to the people and the poor, so that we do not have mediocre services. What happened, you may not know, in Doraginzi last month, it was that the patients that are pregnant and coming to deliver were sleeping on the floor. Nurses and everyone in that institution tooled down in order to make sure that we cannot work in this unprotected environment, because the community is suffering. So we are making this call so that community joins us for a good cause, because we want to correct public service itself. We don't want police stations to continue to be robbed. We don't want the classrooms that are highly populated by learners, such that you can't even find time to correctly teach one child and give the proper attention. And we also don't want public health that is dilapidating like it's happening now. So this is for a good call, and we're inviting the public, including the media, to join us on the day and send this strong message to the government and our employer to correct things for the better for everyone.
Mr. Hlungwani, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks so much indeed for joining us on the program tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, that's the president of the Democratic Nursing Organization of South Africa, Simon Hlungwani, talking about his union members joining the strike next week on Tuesday. And it's believed as many as 800,000 public sector workers may be downing tools on that day.